She's an A-list star, an Oscar winner with more than her share of drama on and off screen. And through it all, though, Sandra Bullock's sunny disposition seems to always shine through.
I wanted to be a part of something that seemed like it would be a lot of fun to do, but that would also give the viewer a lot of pleasure, just to be able to sit back, enjoy the ride.
And you're the ringleader.
Yeah.
Because that's how you roll.
That's how I roll.
Okay.
I would have been pregnant. I would have been knocked up at 17, and my mother knew that, and she kept me under lock and key. I wanted to be a mom at a very young age.
She's Hollywood's golden girl, America's sweetheart, who won our hearts with her charm, her talent, and her radiant smile. But behind the success, behind the awards and the laughter, Sandra Bullock's life has been scarred by tragedy, heartbreak, and loss. At 61, her story isn't just inspiring, it's devastating. And once you hear what she's endured, you'll never see her the same way again.
Did I really earn this, or did I just wear you all down? I would like to thank the Academy for allowing me in the last month to have the most incredible ride with rooms full of artists that I see tonight and that I've worked with before and I hope to work with in the future.
Sandra Bullock is one of the most beloved actresses of her generation. From Speed to The Blind Side, she's proven she can command both the box office and the Academy Awards. She's funny, grounded, and relatable. A rare star who seems both glamorous and down-to-earth. But what most people don't realize is that her journey hasn't been one of effortless success. It's been filled with betrayal, devastating personal loss, and private battles she's rarely spoken about. From a painful divorce that played out in front of the world, to the heartbreaking death of her longtime partner, to the pressures of fame and raising her children in the spotlight, Sandra's life has been anything but easy. This is the untold truth of Sandra Bullock's tragedies, the story of resilience, heartbreak, and survival hidden behind Hollywood's brightest smile. Long before Sandra Bullock became a household name, she was a little girl whose life was defined by constant movement. Born in Arlington, Virginia, she spent much of her childhood traveling across Europe because of her mother's career as an opera singer. For Sandra, this meant she never really had a sense of home. She was always adapting, always the new girl. While this experience gave her cultural richness and fluency in German, it also left her with a lingering sense of rootlessness. That feeling of being an outsider would follow her well into adulthood. Her parents' careers in the arts exposed her to performance from a young age.
Father has an incredible sense of humor, so as a child, everything was about great storytelling and great jokes. Everything was funny in our household.
But it also meant instability. Unlike other kids her age, Sandra didn't have a traditional upbringing. She often had to fend for herself, learning resilience early on. But perhaps that resilience was what shaped her into the strong woman Hollywood would one day come to admire. The question is, did this early instability prepare her for the turbulence of fame? Or did it leave her vulnerable to the heartbreaks ahead? Sandra's path to stardom wasn't easy. After moving to New York to pursue acting, she faced countless rejections. She worked odd jobs, bartending, waitressing, coat checking, anything to survive while chasing auditions. Her breakthrough came with small roles, but it wasn't until Speed in 1994, opposite Keanu Reeves, that Sandra exploded into superstardom. Her natural charisma and authenticity set her apart from the carefully manufactured stars of the era. She wasn't trying to be perfect. She was relatable. But with fame came pressure. Hollywood can be brutal, especially on women. Sandra had to prove herself over and over again, not just as a rom-com darling, but as a serious actress. She delivered, winning an Oscar in 2010 for The Blind Side.
Well, I thought I should introduce myself. My name's Lucy Eleanor Moderatz. Think you should know your family thinks we're engaged.
Yet while her professional life soared, her personal life told a much darker story. Just as she reached the height of her career, Sandra's world was about to be shattered by betrayal. In 2010, Sandra Bullock was at the peak of her career. She had just won the Academy Award for The Blind Side, standing on stage with tears in her eyes, thanking her family, her colleagues, and her then-husband, motorcycle builder Jesse James. To the outside world, it looked like she had it all: love, family, and professional triumph. But behind the curtain, a storm was brewing. Just weeks after her Oscar win, tabloids broke the news. Jesse James had been unfaithful. Not just once, but multiple times with multiple women. The scandal exploded across headlines. Suddenly, the woman who had just been crowned Hollywood royalty was humiliated on a global scale. Sandra retreated from the public eye. Friends later revealed how devastated she was, not only by the betrayal, but by the timing. Her biggest career achievement had been poisoned by personal heartbreak. For Sandra, who valued loyalty and family above all else, Jesse's betrayal was unforgivable. And the pain didn't stop there. Divorce proceedings were swift, but the emotional scars were lasting. Overnight, she went from celebrated Oscar winner to tabloid fodder, forced to endure public speculation about her private life. But Sandra refused to let the scandal define her. Instead, she made a life-altering decision, one that would forever reshape her identity as a woman and as a mother. Even as her marriage fell apart, Sandra had been quietly working on something deeply personal: adoption. For years, she had dreamed of becoming a mother, and in 2010, she finalized the adoption of her son, Louis.
I say now what my mother said, which is, I just want good kids. Just be sweet to me. That's all I want. And like, no fighting.
And do they?
Not really.
The news was meant to be a joyful announcement, but instead, it collided with the public implosion of her marriage. Becoming a single mother overnight was not what Sandra had planned, but it was what life had given her. She poured her love and energy into raising Louis, determined to give him the stability she had always craved as a child. Later, in 2015, Sandra expanded her family again, adopting her daughter, Layla. Both children became the center of her world. Unlike many celebrities, Sandra was fiercely protective of their privacy. She shielded them from the spotlight, rarely sharing personal details, and insisting on raising them away from Hollywood's chaos. But motherhood, while fulfilling, also came with challenges. Balancing her career with single parenthood was never easy. Sandra once admitted that she often felt torn between being the present, nurturing mom she wanted to be, and the hard-working professional her career demanded. Still, she pushed forward, building a family on her own terms. But as life seemed to stabilize, tragedy would once again crash into Sandra's world, this time in a way that was devastatingly final. Just as Sandra Bullock seemed to have rebuilt her life, balancing motherhood, career, and personal happiness, tragedy struck again. In 2015, Sandra began a relationship with photographer Brian Randall. Unlike her previous, highly publicized marriage, this relationship was different. Brian was private, grounded, and deeply devoted to Sandra and her children. He stepped into the role of father figure with ease, becoming a stabilizing presence in the family. For years, Sandra referred to Brian as the love of my life. Together, they created a home away from the glare of Hollywood, focusing on raising Louis and Layla with love and stability. Sandra, who had endured betrayal and humiliation, finally seemed to have found peace. But behind the scenes, Brian was fighting a devastating battle. In 2023, it was revealed that he had been privately battling ALS, a cruel, degenerative disease that robs the body of its strength while leaving the mind intact. Sandra had stood by his side during his illness, caring for him in silence, away from the cameras. Few knew the truth until Brian passed away in August of that year. The loss was shattering. Friends described Sandra as inconsolable, She had endured the death of her mother in the past, but losing Brian, her partner, her rock, and her children's father figure was another level of devastation. She retreated from the public eye once more, mourning in private while the world speculated. For a woman who had always kept her personal life guarded, Brian's passing revealed the depth of Sandra's heartbreak. She didn't just lose a partner, she lost the man who had helped her create the family she had always dreamed of. And yet, Sandra's story has always been one of resilience. The question now was, how would she find the strength to keep moving forward after yet another crushing blow? Life after Brian Randall's death was not easy for Sandra. The grief was overwhelming, but as always, her children became her anchor. She focused on being present for Louis and Layla, determined to shield them from the pain of losing another father figure. In many ways, Sandra's life became quieter. She stepped away from Hollywood projects, prioritizing her family over fame. For a woman who had spent decades in the spotlight, this retreat was both healing and necessary. She knew that what her children needed most was her undivided attention, and she was willing to give up her career momentum to provide it. Yet grief doesn't simply fade. Those close to Sandra say that Brian's absence is felt every day. She has moments of joy, of laughter with her children, but there is also a lingering sadness in her eyes. For someone who has already endured so much, betrayal, public humiliation, and now devastating loss, Brian's death became a reminder of how fragile happiness can be. But Sandra is nothing if not resilient. In interviews, she has often spoken about the importance of gratitude, even in the face of heartbreak. She once said, "I feel lucky every day I wake up, and my children are healthy, and I have a roof over my head." Those words, simple yet powerful, capture the way Sandra has chosen to live after loss, with humility, strength, and a focus on what truly matters. Still, one can't help but wonder, how much tragedy can one person endure before it becomes too much? Sandra Bullock may be beloved by audiences, but fame has not always been kind to her. With each blockbuster success came greater scrutiny, and with greater scrutiny came an invasion of privacy that she never asked for. During her divorce, tabloids hounded her every move. Photographers camped outside her home, desperate to capture her grief. Rumors swirled endlessly, with gossip outlets exploiting her pain for headlines. Even after she rebuilt her life, Sandra found herself battling against a culture that often stripped celebrities of their humanity. Her role as a mother only intensified her need for privacy. Sandra has gone to great lengths to shield Louis and Layla from the spotlight, refusing to let paparazzi dictate their childhood. She's spoken openly about how unsettling it is to have strangers with cameras following her children, capturing moments that should belong only to them. This relentless pursuit of her private life has often made Sandra retreat even further from Hollywood. She has turned down interviews, avoided red carpet appearances, and even taken long breaks from acting. Fame may have brought her wealth and recognition, but it also came at the cost of peace. Sandra's struggle with the spotlight raises a haunting question. Can a person ever truly live freely when the world refuses to let them grieve, love, or parent in peace? As Sandra Bullock enters her 60s, her life story reads like both a triumph and a tragedy. She remains one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, with a career that many dream of. Yet behind the accolades lies a woman who has endured unimaginable loss. Her journey has been defined not just by her success, but by her ability to survive heartbreak and reinvent herself. From the betrayal of her marriage, to the immense joy of adoption, to the crushing loss of Brian Randall, Sandra's life has been a tapestry of highs and lows. Today, she finds solace in her role as a mother. Her children are her greatest legacy.
Okay, being in school, having what they need, their moments. I need to be there for every single moment that they have.
The reason she continues to push forward despite her pain. Friends say she is happiest when she is at home, away from Hollywood, surrounded by Louis and Layla, living as quietly as possible. And yet, as she reflects on her life, one can't help but wonder how she views her own story. Does she see herself as a woman who conquered Hollywood, or as someone who paid too high a price for fame and love? Does she believe her greatest chapters are behind her, or is there still a new beginning waiting on the horizon? Sandra Bullock's story is one of dazzling success, shadowed by unimaginable heartbreak. From the dizzying heights of Hollywood fame to the devastating lows of betrayal and loss, she has lived a life that feels more like a film script than reality. At 61, Sandra has taught us that true strength isn't measured by box office numbers or golden statues, but by resilience in the face of tragedy. She has endured the humiliation of public scandal, the grief of losing her partner, and the crushing responsibility of protecting her children from a world that doesn't always respect boundaries. And yet, she continues to move forward, quietly, gracefully, and with an unwavering focus on love. Her story forces us to ask, what does it mean to have it all when happiness can be taken away so suddenly? And perhaps more importantly, how do you rebuild when life shatters your world again and again? Sandra's legacy isn't just her films. It's her strength, her devotion as a mother, and her ability to show us that even in the darkest moments, life is worth living if you can still find light in the love of family. What do you think of Sandra's heartbreaking yet inspiring journey? Do you believe she will ever find lasting peace and happiness away from Hollywood? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the untold stories of the stars you thought you knew, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones told on screen, but the ones lived when the cameras stop rolling.